Welcome to PromagEnviro.com. The model code creation for the Walchem WMT8 Webmaster 1 Single Cooling Tower Controller. The model code begins with WMT8. The first selection is System Conductivity. The number 0 represents no sensor. The number 1 represents graphite electrode, 150 psi. The number 2 represents electrodeless, 150 psi. The number 3 represents stainless steel electrode, 150 psi. And the number 4 represents high pressure, 300 psi. The next selection is pH ORP. The number 0 represents none. The number 1 represents pH flat, 100 psi. The number 2 represents ORP, rod, 100 psi. The number 3 represents both pH and ORP, 100 psi. The number 4 represents pH, bulb, high pressure, 300 psi. The number 5 represents ORP, high pressure, 300 psi. And the number 6 represents both pH, ORP, and 300 psi. The next selection is Makeup Conductivity. The number 0 represents none. The number 1 represents graphite electrode. The number 2 represents electrodeless. The number 3 represents stainless steel electrode. And the number 4 represents high pressure, 300 psi. The next selection is voltage code. The number 0 represents pre-wired, 0 powered relays, and 8 dry contact relays. The number 1 represents pre-wired, 7 powered relays, and 1 dry contact relay. The number 2 represents pre-wired, 8 powered relays, and 0 dry contact relays. The number 3 represents pre-wired, 4 powered relays, and 4 dry contact relays. The number 4 represents hardwired, 0 powered relays, and 8 dry contact relays. The number 5 represents hardwired, 8 powered relays, 0 dry contact relays. The number 6 represents hardwired, 7 powered relays, and 1 dry contact relay. The number 7 represents hardwired, 4 powered relays, and 4 dry contact relays. The next selection is Flow Switch Options. The letter N represents no flow switch, with inline sensors and T's. The letter L represents loose flow switch manifold, 20 feet of cable, low pressure. The letter P represents flow switch manifold on polypropylene panel, 5 feet of cable, low pressure. The letter S represents no flow switch, submersion sensors with no T's. The letter F represents loose flow switch manifold, 20 feet of cable, high pressure. The letter H represents flow switch manifold on polypropylene panel, 5 feet of cable, high pressure. The letter C represents flow switch manifold on polypropylene panel, 5 feet of cable, low pressure, corator, and T and sensor, no electrodes. The letter D represents flow switch manifold on polypropylene panel, 5 feet of cable, low pressure, little dipper, and comes with a T. The letter E represents flow switch manifold on polypropylene panel, 5 feet of cable, low pressure, corator, little dipper, and sensors. The next selection is Analog Outputs. The letter N represents no analog outputs. The numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 represent 1 4 to 20 milliamp output board, 2 4 to 20 milliamp output boards, 3 4 to 20 milliamp output boards, and 4 4 to 20 milliamp output boards. The next selection is Input Options. The letter N represents no input options. The letter A represents 8 analog inputs. The letter D represents 6 digital inputs. And the letter B represents both analog and digital input cards. The next selection is communications hardware. USB and Ethernet communications hardware is standard. The letter N represents no additional hardware. The letter M represents landline modem. The letter G represents GPRS modem. The next selection is communications software. The letter N represents no additional software. The number 1 represents Ethernet networking master capability. The number 2 represents Modbus TCP/IP. The number 3 represents both Ethernet networking and Modbus TCP/IP. Free shipping is available through our website at PromagEnviro.com.